One gift that God has given me, the love of books, the golden key that opens an enchanting door to worlds I never knew before. A world of imagination that carried me from pole to pole within a twinkling eye and back again. As a boy, I traveled to places impossible for me to see, and yet my bookshelf made them real to me. The world of my bookshelf, I'll remember it always.
This is The Bookshelf. Adaptations of favorite Christian children's literature. Stories brought to life by The Bookshelf.
The radio stations of the Moody Bible Institute bring you the 11th in a 15-chapter series of The Prairie Princess, created by Margaret Epp and freely adapted for radio by Phyllis Fox. The Prairie Princess is the story of the intense joys, disappointments, and personal spiritual growth of the lives of the Scott family, as told by the younger girl, Sarah Naomi Scott, the Prairie Princess.
Dad? Mom? Come right away.
Oh, dear. Herbie, excuse me.
What can it be?
Dad? Mom? The doctor's on the line. Aunt Jane's regained consciousness. They want you at the hospital right away.
I'll get my things.
The doctor says to bring Sarah along.
Sarah?
Me? But why?
Well, that's what he says, and he says to hurry.
I'll take you in my car. Come on, Kathy. We'll meet you out front.
Stuart, stay here with Robbie and Linda.
Sure, Mom.
Linda's medicine is next to her bed.
If the doctor calls again, tell him we're on our way.
Mrs. Scott, kiss Aunt Jane for me and tell her I love her.
I will, Linda. And we'll be praying that the Lord will see fit to make her well.
Thank you.
We're ready.
Now, take care of yourselves and get to bed early.
Yes, Mom.
Are you ready, Sarah?
Now then, let's go. We'll see you all later.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, Dad. Well, Robbie, looks like we're stuck with the rest of the dishes.
But I've got to practice my piano lessons.
Robbie, you're not talking to Mom. I know how much you hate the piano.
Not as much as I hate washing the dishes.
Well, you're going to help.
I don't have to.
Robbie, Mom left me in charge and Linda, are you all right?
Yes, I guess. I just feel like everything is my fault.
Linda, that's not so.
Yes, it is. Aunt Jane was keeping everything especially clean because the doctor said germs were bad for me. So Aunt Jane was cleaning everything. If I hadn't been there, then maybe she wouldn't have been cleaning so hard.
Linda, Aunt Jane always cleaned. Why, she's got the cleanest farm in the whole countryside.
Linda, something's happened that we can't explain. But we've got to trust that God will work things out.
But how do you know if God will?
Cause he... let Stuart explain it.
No, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that we can believe God works things out because that's what it says in the Bible.
Where?
In the book of Romans. It says that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose.
But Aunt Jane never goes to church.
Oh.
But she is a Christian, Linda.
What do you mean? A Christian?
A Christian is a person who believes that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and is the channel by which we come to God.
I'm going to start and do the dishes.
Thanks, Robbie.
I don't understand.
Well, let's see if I can explain it. Do you believe that you could come before God and say you've never done anything wrong in your life?
Of course not.
Well, it says in the Bible that no man can come before God unless he is perfect.
But that's impossible.
You're right.
But if that's true, then nobody can come before God.
That's true, too, except for one important factor. Jesus Christ was perfect. While he lived on earth, he was absolutely perfect.
How could he have done that?
Because Jesus Christ was more than just a man. He was the Son of God. God sent him down to earth to be a sacrifice for our wrongdoing.
How could he do that?
Because he was perfect. He could stand before God and be our go-between.
Go-between?
You see, when he died on the cross for us, his blood covered our wrongdoings. Because he was without sin, then he could take all our sins upon himself. The ones we've done or are going to do.
And then when he rose from the grave, that meant he conquered death for us so we could live forever with him.
How do you know all this?
From the Bible.
I've never read the Bible.
You haven't?
But how do you know Aunt Jane's a Christian?
I just know. She and Mom used to be very close. And Mom told me that Aunt Jane was the one who told her about Jesus.
You mean your mom wasn't always a Christian?
No. Aunt Jane invited her to church. Mom never knew about Christ until Aunt Jane told her.
Oh. But Aunt Jane doesn't believe it now.
Well, I think she does. But something happened that made her disappointed with people. And at the same time, she became disappointed with God. But that doesn't make her any less a Christian. That's why we can claim the promise that all things will work together.
But what if she dies?
Many times, that can be God's way of protecting his children. Sometimes the world is so disappointing and our faith is so small, we forget the power and strength that's ours if we ask God. And in our forgetting, we make ourselves unhappy, sometimes more than just unhappy, miserable. And God in his love takes us to be with him.
Oh.
Right now, Linda, we can pray that Aunt Jane will begin to listen to God.
I don't know how to pray.
I can teach you.
I don't think so. I mean, thank you. But no.
Sarah? Sarah?
In here, Doctor.
How is she? I called the Scotts. They're on their way.
Sarah? Sarah?
Sarah will be here soon, Miss Bolton. Just lie quiet.
Sarah? Sarah?
She's just the same, just repeating the name.
Sarah?
We may have to operate then.
Do you want me to get her ready?
Not yet. Let's just wait until the Scotts arrived. That was quite a
How
fall.
far?
Not far.
But how far?
About 10 minutes.
Why would Aunt Jane want to see Sarah?
Well, maybe she said Sheila.
Stuart seemed pretty sure the doctor said Sarah.
I know. Well, we won't have long to wait. I just pray her condition improves.
You really love her, don't you, Mom?
Yes, I do.
But why doesn't she like you?
Sarah, shh.
No, that's all right. Sarah's old enough to understand. Jane and I were very close friends, Sarah, but unbeknownst to your dad and I, Jane loved your daddy very much.
But he was married.
No, this was before we were married, long before we even started seeing each other.
Didn't you work for Aunt Jane, Dad?
I worked for her father.
Well, when your dad and I started seeing each other, Aunt Jane became very distant. Every time I asked her what was wrong, she'd change the subject. But then, when your dad and I announced our engagement, well, she never wanted to see either of us again.
Did you ever go out with Aunt Jane?
Well, a couple of times, but we were never serious, just friends.
Then someone started a vicious rumor saying that I stole your father away from Aunt Jane.
But you didn't.
Someone told her your dad had at one time taken a fancy to her, but that I came along and spoiled it all.
If you and Aunt Jane were such close friends, how come she never told you how much she liked Dad?
Well, that was the strange thing about Jane. If anyone was close to her, I was. But she was very secretive, especially about certain things. When I told her I didn't know she cared for Ted, she kept telling me what she'd heard. And of course, your dad and I were very much in love, and oh, it was silly. Jane stopped going to church. Then her dad died, and she took over the farm, became quite a businesswoman.
Didn't she ever get married?
No, and many times I feel I'm to blame.
You didn't know, Ted.
I know, and even if I did, Jane was never more to me than a friend. It's just that when I see the blessings we've had as a family, and I know Jane would have made a wonderful mother and wife, well, it's sad.
She has Linda now.
I suppose so, but there's something wonderful and almost miraculous about building a home full of Christian love and understanding.
Jane never had a home.
She didn't?
No, her mother died when she was very young, and her father reared her along with a housekeeper. She never had a real family.
We're just about there. I'll leave you off at the entrance and then park the car.
I think it might be wise if just Sheila and Sarah go into the room. We'll all wait in the visitors' lounge. Are those tears, Sheila Scott?
I guess they are.
Tears of love, the deepest kind.
Only a few minutes, please. I'm going to get the doctor.
Thank you. Jane.
Sarah.
Jane.
Sarah. Is that you?
Sarah's here, Jane.
Oh, Sheila. Sheila, how nice of you to come.
Aunt Jane, I'm here.
Sarah.
Linda sends her love. Mom gave you a kiss from her.
Sarah. The question. I couldn't forget the question.
What question, Aunt Jane?
Have you never done anything that needs forgiveness?
Nurse! Nurse! Nurse, please help!
Yes, what? Oxygen. Please leave the room. Doctor? Dr. Lind?
The trip back will be slow.
It would have been slower in the buggy. Thanks for coming.
I'm just glad I was there.
This is twice you've come to the rescue. First with Linda and now at the hospital. I just wish the doctor would come.
What time is it?
It's close to 10, long past Sarah's bedtime.
I'm not tired.
Sarah, what did Jane mean about that question?
That time, right after I became a Christian, well, I went to her house to apologize to Linda, but she wouldn't let me see her, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Well, before I left, I was hurt and all, and I asked her if she'd ever done anything that needed forgiveness, and I guess it sort of stuck with her.
I guess it did.
Oh, Dr. Lind.
Well, thank you for waiting.
How is she?
Resting. Her heart isn't as strong. We'll know more tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Perhaps you'd all better go home.
I want to stay. Doctor, I don't know if it's policy or not, but, well, there was that extra bed in her room, and I thought...
Of course. I'll make the necessary arrangements. It's not usual, but we're a small hospital. Rules can be altered. Are you her sister?
No, a very close friend.
I see. Well, I'll make the arrangements. Come to the room when you're ready.
Thank you, Doctor. You don't mind, Ted?
No, you stay here. We'll hold the fort.
Please don't forget Linda's medicine.
I'll take charge of that, Mom.
And I'll take care of the house.
Quite a family. Quite a family.
Mama, tell Aunt Jane we love her.
Oh, I will, Sarah. Let's all pray she makes it through the night.
This has been the 11th in a 15-chapter series of The Prairie Princess, created by Margaret Epp and freely adapted for radio by Phyllis Fox. Join us next time as we bring you the 12th chapter of The Prairie Princess.
You've been listening to another dramatic adaptation of Christian children's literature, brought to life by the Bookshelf. This has been a radio presentation produced by the Broadcasting Department of the Moody Bible Institute.